be talking about how the sexual dimorphism in plants has evolved. We're Group N in Bio 103, Fall 2023. I'm Isabella Moya.
I'm Adrienne Pinover.
And I'm Callie Smith. And now we'll be talking about our project summary.
So during our project summary, we uncovered the differences in sexes and more specifically their biological processes leading to sexual reproduction. The evolution of species relies so heavily on sexual reproduction that we decided to dig deeper on the way in which this is conducted. We did this through researching sexual dimorphism in plants and seeing how we can relate it to the very similar functions found in animals. Additionally, we looked at the transfer from monoecious to dioecious in plants, which gave further knowledge in the ways in which sex chromosomes can be affected, much like in our own bodies. Then we further looked into the expression of genes across different genders of organisms, allowing insight on another way in which sex can be determined through the plant reproduction process. This all helped contribute to our overall knowledge on the ways in which reproduction occurs in the genetic world, and we were able to connect this information to what we had already known about sex chromosomes. What was interesting to us about this topic was how some plants can have both male and female organs, and some plants just have one or the other, like we do. A new conclusion we will present is plants have several different ways of sexual reproduction through dimorphism.
Background information. Sexual dimorphism contributes to our understanding of life on Earth through reproduction and the growth of plant species. Plants have extremely important functions on Earth, such as photosynthesis, food for organisms, shelter, and many other benefits. Evolution of sexual dimorphism in plants is related to Bio 103 because in this course we have learned about the topics of evolution and the geologic periods of Earth, and how plants started and continue to develop and reproduce over millions of years on Earth. Our topic is about how certain types of plants sexually reproduce. Significance of the primary article. Main points of our article. Evolutionary pathways to dioecy, the longevity of two species, and dosage compensation in plants. How does this topic connect to our course themes? Week 11 of the course, Biological Descent, we looked at the plant evolution on Earth, asexual reproduction, how sexual reproduction evolved and why, hermaphroditism in plants, specifically dioesis. Course topics we researched more about for this project were evolution and sexual reproduction in plants and dioesis with plants.
Now I'll be talking about the longevity of the two sexes. This topic is relevant to Bio 103 because we are talking about the sexual dimorphism in plants. And after researching, I found that homomorphic sex chromosomes in plants were found very similar to those in animals such as birds and some other mammals. I also came across the fact that plant and animal sex chromosomes have more similarities than differences. One similarity is that they both tend to have homomorphic sex chromosomes, and one difference is that their models of chromosomes formations are different and they have more potential for haploid selection. Adding on to what I just stated, some homomorphic sex chromosomes have been found very similar to the divergent systems in animals. The longevity of the two sexes have been talked about multiple times during this course when covering how life on Earth evolved, the types of bacteria, and even the different organisms. The term longevity simply means that the male and female sex display very different sex gaps and different time gaps. Now, you see the picture on my slide, that shows the differences of the male parts and the female parts.
So we further looked into the evolutionary pathways to dioecy. Dioecy reproduction is when a flower has the ability to reproduce both male and female gametes. This sense of unisexuality is not typically ancestral in plant species, but it is rather a derived trait. Rather than this being a seemingly good thing, the evolutionary pathway dioecy is typically derived from monoecious, which is typically seen as a widespread sexual reproduction strategy conducted by plants. This evolutionary process starts with the monoecious plant. This plant is affected by the physiological and hormonal environment within the plant and the role of a segregating gene, which these produce various M genes. And dioecy is entirely controlled by the gene M, which you could see in the image. It entirely affects whether the plant is male or female, and it depends on if the gene has a strong allele or a null allele, which affects the sexes of plants they're reproducing. This ultimately connects to our understanding of sexual reproduction from class, where we learn the ways in which the XY chromosomes affects the sex of the offspring, with these genetic M influencing the XY chromosomes and further allowing for genetic diversity, which would be lacked in an asexually reproducing species.
Dosage compensation in plants. Dosage compensation is the process by which organisms equalize the expression of genes between members of different biological sexes. This is important in understanding sexual dimorphism in plants, since when plants reproduce and it lacks a gene, it equalizes the expression of genes between different members of plant sex. Dosage compensation is related to what we have learned in Bio 103 because we have learned about organisms evolving, and an interesting point is scientists in the late 1960s discovered that dosage compensation is not exclusive to animals, but other eukaryotes, including plants. There are three main topics to understanding dosage compensation. 1. Sex chromosome dosage compensation. In species with distinct sex chromosomes, like humans with X and Y chromosomes, the number of genes on these chromosomes differs between males and females. 2. Plants and dosage compensation. Dimorphic sex chromosomes. Unlike humans, many plants lack distinct male and female chromosomes. Still, dosage compensation can occur when aberrant meiotic events or mutations lead to abnormal chromosome numbers or extra sets of chromosomes. 3. Evolutionary insights. In summary, plants creatively adapt to gene dosage difference, ensuring a harmonious balance despite their diverse genetic makeup. My image represents dosage compensation in different organisms.
So now I'll be talking about the conclusions for our project. Our three main takeaways include the importance plants have on the way we live, the differences in the plant sexes, and dosage compensation. An unanswered question we had, are other organisms hermaphroditic, like birds, mammals, or reptiles, or etc.? And another question we had were, are there still organisms other than plants that use hermaphroditism as a way of reproduction?
On this slide, we've included our references. And in this one, we have included our GAI acknowledgement.